New Year's Eve, also known as Sylvester, how the dragon and the beast are worshipped by the whole world. Two popes are working together to deceive the whole world into worshipping the dragon and the beast. Through traditions of men, the whole world is being misled into a spiritual Babylon. In the last part, we ended with a brief look at the origin of the term New Year's Eve, also known as Sylvester. We will now look at this in greater detail. Here again the report about Pope Sylvester I. Death of Pope Sylvester I. Popes have written world history. Gregory VII, for example, who banned Emperor Henry IV and then made him beg for forgiveness in the snow outside Canossa. Or Alexander VI and his unfortunate Renaissance successors, who caused the schism in the Church through Luther's Reformation. Or John Paul II, the well-traveled first pope from Poland, whose canonization is supported by the faithful all over the world. However, most of Benedict XVI's 264 predecessors are only known to church historians. Pope Sylvester I would also have long since sunk into the darkness of history if a brother pope had not reformed the calendar 1,250 years after his death. The legend of the donation of Constantine. Sylvester I was consecrated Bishop of Rome and thus Pope in 314. However, his term of office was completely overshadowed by the first Christian emperor, Constantine the Great. Centuries later, the Vatican historians invented a pious legend to enhance the status of Sylvester's pontificate in relation to imperial power. They attributed to Sylvester the conversion of Constantine to the true faith, and thus the merit of Christianizing the Roman Empire. In gratitude, Sylvester I is said to have received the deed of the so-called donation of Constantine, which granted the Pope's temporal power and land ownership. In the 8th century, this document served as the legal basis for the foundation of the Patrimonium Petri, the Papal States, which lasted until 1870. However, as early as the mid-19th century, even the Vatican had to concede that the long-standing doubts raised by theologians about the authenticity of the document were justified and that the donation of Constantine was a forgery. Post-fame through calendar luck. The fact that Sylvester nevertheless became immortal as the namesake of the turn of the year is due to the date of his death in 335, and the calendar reform of Gregory XIII in 1582. This pope proclaimed a new calendar that replaced the outdated Julian calendar and set January 1st as the standard start of the year. According to the Gregorian calendar, which is used worldwide today, Sylvester's date of death coincidentally falls on the last day of the year, December 31st. However, one personal achievement of the Pope, who was elevated by a forgery, is undisputed. Sylvester I had the first St. Peter's Church built over the tomb of the martyred apostle in Rome. Biblically, our year begins in March or April. Good to know. Pope Sylvester I with his entourage entering Rome, where he is welcomed by the emperor. Why is New Year's Eve actually called Sylvester? The majority of public holidays in Germany and many other countries can be traced back to Christian traditions. For example, Easter, Pentecost, and Christmas. Although New Year's Eve and New Year have no religious origins, there is a religious reference behind the name Sylvester. December 31st marks the anniversary of the death of Pope Sylvester I, who died in Rome in 335. The Church declared this day to be the name day of Sylvester, which is why it became known as Sylvester's Day. By the way, the New Year is not celebrated on the same day worldwide. For example, the Chinese New Year 2025 does not begin until January 29th. The Bible explicitly warns us to listen to the commandments or traditions of men. We will see this very clearly in the course of this Bible study.
Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. Ye hypocrites, well did Esaias prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Here Jesus Christ refers to Isaiah 29 and quotes from it.
Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry, They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets your rulers, the seers hath he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, Forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of man. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid.
Sylvester I, born before 300, died December 31st, 335 in Rome, was Bishop of Rome from 314 until his death and thus Pope from a Catholic perspective. Through the donation of Constantine, which was later classified as a forgery, he experienced an exaltation of his person in church history that continues to have an effect to this day. What is known about the life of Pope Sylvester I is rather sketchy. He was ordained a priest around 284 and elected Bishop of Rome on January 31, 314. His predecessor was Pope Miltiades, his successor Pope Marcus. His name was added to the calendar of saints in 813. Sylvester is considered to be the first pope who no longer had to suffer persecution of Christians in Rome, as the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, reigned 306 to 337, had granted all citizens of the Roman Empire the right to freely practice their religion in 313 through the Milan Agreement. This marked the decisive turning point during the 21 years pontificate of Sylvester I, 314 to 335, from a state policy hostile to Christians to a state policy friendly to Christians. For the most part, the legends created since the 5th century contain no historical core. They were spread mainly by the Legenda Aurea by the Dominican and later Archbishop of Genoa Jacobus de Voragine, 1228 to 1298. According to the forged document known as the Donation of Constantine, Pope Sylvester I is said to have baptized the sick Emperor Constantine and cured him of leprosy. The origin of this document is dated to the middle of the 8th century, around 754, after the Carolingians were anointed Frankish kings. However, Emperor Constantine was probably only baptized on his deathbed by Eusebius of Nicomedia. In gratitude for his healing, Pope Sylvester I is said to have received the so-called Patrimonium Petri, which formed the basis of the later papal states, as a gift from Constantine. Pope Sylvester did not take part in the Council of Alls, 314, at which important landmarks and decisions for the further development of the Christian Church were made. At the Council of Nicaea, 325, Sylvester I was represented by his presbyters Victor and Vincentius. The first Christian creed, the Creed of Nicaea, was established there, which largely corresponds to the creed that is still widely used in ecumenism today. During the pontificate of Sylvester I, the first large church buildings were planned in collaboration with Emperor Constantine and executed in accordance with liturgical guidelines. In Rome alone, the basilicas were built within a very short space of time. Ecclesia Sanctissimi Salvatoris, 315 to 318, later S. Giovanni in Laterano, as the Roman Episcopal Church with the Lateran Baptistry San Giovanni in Font, 315. Basilica Sancti Petri in Vaticano, 317 to 322, over the tomb of St. Peter. Ecclesia Sancti Pauli Extramuros, around 324, over the tomb of St. Paul as the first memorial church. Basilica Caesariana, from 330, later, Santa Croce in Jerusalem, for the worthy safekeeping of the relics of the cross found in Jerusalem in 325. We can therefore see that Pope Sylvester I worked very closely with the Mithraist Emperor Constantine I, or Constantine the Great. The Edict of 321, in which Emperor Constantine declared the Venerable Day of the Immortal Sun, Sunday or Sunday, to be a public holiday fell during his term of office. The Council of Nicaea 325, with all its false and non-biblical teachings, also took place during his pontificate. We can now see that Pope Sylvester I was not as insignificant as we have been led to believe. But how did the two popes work together? Again, the Roman Catholic Church tells us everything herself. Here are the statues of Pope Gregory XIII in St. Peter's Basilica and in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Araceli in Rome. Gregory XIII entered the service of the Church in 1539. He became Bishop of Vieste in 1558 and Cardinal in 1565. On May 13, 1572, he was elected Pope in the conclave in less than 24 hours. He chose the papal name, which had already been out of use for 150 years, as he had been elevated to Cardinal on the feast day of St. Gregory I. Gregory XIII promoted science and education, reformed the calendar, endeavored to regain lost territories of the Papal States, and was one of the central figures of the Counter-Reformation. During his pontificate, he expressly welcomed St. Bartholomew's Day in France. Gregory XIII, supported by the Spanish King Philip II, became pope at the age of 70 and remained so until the age of 83. Until the end, he mounted his horse without the help of a stirrup holder and was of robust constitution. He was a patron of the sciences, as demonstrated above all by the introduction of the Gregorian calendar associated with his name, and a relentless fighter against the Reformation, especially against the French Huguenots. Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar and was one of the central figures of the Counter-Reformation. The Pontifical Gregorian University, Latin, Pontificia Universitas Gregoriana, Italian, Pontificia Università Gregoriana, is a university under pontifical law that emerged from the first Jesuit school Collegio Romano and is based in the Italian capital Rome. The university still enjoys great international renown today and is considered the most important pontifical university in the world. Today's Gregorian University was established in 1551 by Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuit order, in a Roman palace on the Campidoglio in Via Capitolina, today, Piazza di Araceli. This first Jesuit school, equipped with a library, was initially called Collegio Romano. The college enjoyed great popularity and was reopened in 1584 by Pope Gregory XIII in a large building that still bears the name Palazzo del Collegio Romano today. Gregory XIII was henceforth celebrated as Fondator e Protettor, founder and protector or supporter of the university, which is why the university was later, 1873, named Gregoriana after him. Here we can see how much Pope Gregory XIII promoted the Jesuits and the Counter-Reformation. But who is the dragon from the Bible and who is the beast?
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
The great dragon is the old serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Here we can clearly see that the beast is the Roman Catholic Church, for it persecutes the woman and her seed on behalf of the dragon. Revelation and Daniel complement each other. Without the Old Testament, we cannot understand the New Testament. So let's take a look at Daniel 7. And we'll also clarify biblically when the biblical year begins. Biblically, our year begins in March or April.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep and from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Thus he said, The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Here we see that the little horn will change times and laws, including festival times. Pope Gregory XIII changed the times through the calendar reform, and the Roman Catholic Church moved the biblical seventh-day Sabbath to Sunday. And the whole world adheres to it and is obedient to the papacy. And once again the Bible is being fulfilled right before our eyes. Let's take another look at Daniel 7.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his heels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horns spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion, and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. Even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possess the kingdom. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, and I kept the matter in my heart. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
We can clearly see here how the Old and New Testament are connected and complement each other. This gives us a very good overview. Daniel and Revelation are both very interesting Bible studies, but that would go well beyond the scope of this video. If you would like to know more about these topics, please leave a comment below the video. We see here that the beast, Revelation, or the little horn, Daniel, wages war against our Creator and his faithful people. We have seen that the dragon has given the beast his power and his throne and great authority. We now know who the beast or little horn is and who the dragon is. Thus Pope Gregory XIII shifted the beginning of the year through his calendar reform, made the anniversary of Pope Sylvester I's death a public holiday, and thus both popes worked together to fulfill the goal of the dragon who gave the beast his power and throne and great authority. And what is the goal of the dragon, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world? We find an answer to this question in Isaiah 14.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations! For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
The answer is, the dragon wants to be worshipped and adored like our Creator and Redeemer. But since no one would voluntarily worship the dragon, he has to deceive and has appointed the beast as his representative. With this knowledge, all the statements by the popes that they are God or his representative here on earth also make sense.
Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
Here the Bible clearly warns us against the false teachings of the Roman Catholic Church. For this is the only denomination that forbids its clergy to marry and demands fasting in its catechism. The Bible tells us emphatically that the doctrines of Babylon are the doctrines of demons. Demons are the fallen angels who were cast to earth with the dragon. Revelation 12 verses 1 to 9. But this topic is also worth a separate Bible study. Therefore, check everything, and if you find that an unbiblical tradition is upheld or practiced in your denomination, then leave this denomination very quickly if you really want to follow the true Jesus Christ. Otherwise, you are consciously worshiping the dragon and the beast. This is how the whole world could be deceived into false worship by Babylonian traditions that have only been given the Christian cloak and name. And since the whole denominations are all connected to the mother whore of the Roman Catholic Church through ecumenism, this call concerns all denominations. If you count yourself among the people of our Creator and Redeemer, then you will answer the call. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eye-witnesses of his majesty. For he received from God the Father honor and glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And this voice which came from heaven we heard, when we were with him in the holy mount. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the Scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, But holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost.